Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 118 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr., and today is March 12th, 2025. In this episode, Daniel Oliver, bass player for the modern rock band Nothing More, is my special guest. Nothing More formed in 2003 in San Antonio, Texas. The band was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards in 2018 and have released 7 studio records. A deluxe version of their critically acclaimed 2024 studio release, Carnal, will be released as a deluxe edition on March 28th. This release will feature a new single entitled We're All Gonna Die. Nothing More will be touring North America starting on March 29th, opening for the band Disturbed on their current arena tour. During this interview, Daniel Oliver talks about the upcoming tour with Disturbed, the Carnal release, and the band's past history. So let's get started. Here is Daniel Oliver. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock Interview Series, and look who we have here today. We have Daniel Oliver from the band Nothing More with us, one of the most popular modern rock bands out right now. And Daniel, thank you very much for your time. I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, now there's a lot of super exciting stuff going on in the world of Nothing More right now. You have a extended version of your Carnal CD that was released last June coming out on March 28th. Tell us, before we start with anything else, let's talk a little bit about that. What makes the extended version different from the original version?
Yeah, so the deluxe is definitely going to have some different stuff on it. Let's see, we have a really cool remix of House on Sand. We have a live version of Angel's Song with David Draymond. We recorded that at Aftershock in Sacramento, the Aftershock Festival. We'll have We're All Gonna Die, that latest single we put out. That was kind of a B-sides on this record. And then I think the Free Fall version featuring Chris Daughtry will also be on there. So,
Yeah.
and I think there's something else. I should have refreshed before I got on here, but yeah, there's some cool different things. There's another remix too. It's just slipping my mind. I'll remember it though.
Mm-hmm. What was the thing that inspired you to release this limited or extended version at this point?
Whenever it's time to release a record, there's just all of this like energy and hysteria and work to do to get that one thing out. And then you get that out, and then you can kind of take a breath and look at, like, We're All Gonna Die is the song that we wrote for this album, but like last minute we just decided to not put it on the record. And it took some time also for just things to happen, like happening to have a live show with Disturbed where David Draymond, graced the stage with us, and we happened to get a badass live recording. So it's like, oh, cool. Like that's great that we have that. So yeah, just some different pieces have to fall into place. The same thing with the remixers, before the songs were out, everything, when you release the record, everything is just about that product right there. Like the songs as they are, they're brand new. Let's not confuse people with the dubstep version of something or the acoustic version of something so yeah, once you give people some time though to kind of digest, I don't know, people digest, they're looking for more, and we just happen to have these cool little things to put together and put on to another record. So
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a great collection. I mean, the Cardinal record in itself is pretty incredible. And We're All Gonna Die is a great song. I don't know how that could not make a record. I mean, that's a great release. I thought maybe you wrote it after the record was released, because I can't imagine you guys, not wanting to include that on the original one.
yeah, that was one we all loved it as a song, but when we were just listening to the album, trying to figure out like track placement, track order, things like that, like instrumental stuff, it was like this song is a little too like tongue in cheek, like fun kind of feeling, but we loved it. So it's like, okay, we'll just release it later. So
Yeah, the record really has a flow to it. I mean, it almost like a concept record in a way, in the way it flows.
Yeah, thanks. That's something we've really prided ourselves on since the beginning of the band was, not only having songs, but having, instrumental pieces. And also we've fallen in love with the philosopher Alan Watts over the years. He's the voice you hear on all
Yeah.
of our records. He's a guy that's meant a lot to all of us. And yeah, it's been kind of cool to just like sprinkle him in between songs and kind of let his message like tie the songs together as well. So yeah, it's been cool. I agree. I love when bands do a little bit more than just song, song, song. So
Yeah, I really think that makes nothing more, very unique in the fact that you do that. I mean, I'm not really too sure who he is, but I want to, research him and I've listened to this record many times. So, I thought that was pretty cool, but I wasn't really too sure who he was.
yeah, he's this trying to think what he actually did. I think he was a world he was a professor at a university basically. And I can't remember when he died either, but all the recordings he made were from lectures he gave in the 70s, which is amazing that, recording things back then wasn't easy. So the fact that he has tons of hours of him talking is so cool. But yeah, I think he was a professor of world religion or something like that. And Johnny just kind of came across him. And I remember he gave me like a thumb drive with like 20 hours of Alan Watts lectures on it. And I was painting the neighbor's, bedroom for spare money one weekend. And I just like listened to all of them. And I was like, wow, he has completely made sense of the last 10 years of my life. So thank you,
Wow.
Johnny.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And you must be doing something right. You have 2.4 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which I guess that's how we're judging, success of bands nowadays. And for a band that has 2.4 million, I mean, that's very impressive.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know like what the barometer
It
is
is,
with the
yeah, it is
Spotify
impressive.
millions. I mean, it sounds good. Millions always
Yeah.
good, right?
Absolutely right. I want to talk. I'm really excited about this tour that you're about to go on, starting on March 29th. You're hooking up with Disturbed and Dodge Street for a arena rock tour, good old fashioned arena rock. And you
Yeah.
must be pretty excited about this. I mean, Disturbed is out right now, and they're doing great numbers, and they have this incredible stage show, and all the reviews have been like just outstanding.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm super pumped. We toured with Disturbed. We did an arena tour with them in Chevelle, I think like 8 years ago, and it was a ton of fun. Like their fans are awesome. We're new friends with Chris Daughtry, so that'll be fun to get to break bread with him and hang out. But yeah, getting to especially now that we've been around for longer to get to step back in the arenas with two other like massive artists. I think every night's going to be a lot of fun. We've done some arena tours and we were less known, and we're the first of four playing at 6:15 for 20 minutes, and those tours you really feel that the crowd just got off work. but but no, it's going to be fantastic. We're super pumped.
Have you ever had a situation where when you did take on one of these opening act gigs where like, there was like pushback from like the headliners because of the energy that you guys bring on stage and they didn't want to be like upstaged or anything like that? Have you ever been t told to tone it down a bit?
No, we haven't actually. And I'm sure, because we haul around for years, we've hauled around different giant steel contraptions, like Scorpion Tail and Drumtron and doing bass solos and stuff like that. So I'm sure people haven't appreciated it at some point, maybe because of that, but nobody's ever said anything. And I think that's really cool.
Well, now that you mentioned Scorpion Tail, that's on my list. Of course, we're going to talk about that. I watched some of your live footage and I saw that, and it's like one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. What's the backstory behind that? And will we be seeing that on the upcoming tour with Disturbed?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it won't be on this tour. We're giving it a break right now, rebuilding it and kind of rethinking the whole thing, which I think is a really good thing. Like, we don't want to be pigeonholed into, I don't know, a band that has to do like kind of this over the top, weird theatrical thing. So it's cool to like it's cool to bring it out, let it do its thing, take it away for a little bit. We're talking about bringing the bass solo back next for a little bit while Scorpion Tail's getting rethought. And just going from there. But yeah, we've from the beginning we've been a band that was really into the show element. And a lot of that was just we were in a 9-year grind where in the time of rock and roll where just bands were not getting signed,
Yeah.
and so we created this 500-mile radius around San Antonio, and every weekend we were out Thursday, Friday, Saturday in one of those cities, just trying to make a name for ourselves and trying to figure out our sound and who we are. And that was one thing. The first thing we ever did was this like multi-person bass solo, and we just found that we've all seen bands play in front of 20 people in a crappy bar and just nobody pays attention to 1 second of the band, but then we noticed like we had this bass solo, and it's like all of a sudden I don't know, it's like it gave people a window into our spirit or something, and all this, and it really helped just grab attention, and I think it's been a lot of fun developing that over the years. I'm the resident welder in the band, and I'm not a trained welder, not an engineer or anything like that, but I've really enjoyed falling in love with metal fabrication and just figuring out how to, and especially in those times there was zero budget, so it's like I'm picking up pieces of bed frame from the side of the road, for scrap angle iron, like just using whatever I can get. Went to all the motorcycle chains on Johnny's Drumtron, or from this place called Alamo Cycleplex in San Antonio that, I just walked into the shop one day. I was like, hey, do y'all have any old motorcycle chains? They just pointed me to the dumpster, and I just went through it and took a bunch of steel out. So, it's been fun, yeah. So we're in the middle of reworking that stuff, but it'll be a great show nonetheless. We'll be doing some extra drum solo stuff, and bringing the energy.
Hmm. Do you know how long you'll be playing, opening for Disturbed? Do you know how long your set list is?
Yeah, it's a 35-minute set.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And do you have plans for after this tour?
Yeah, so we get off this tour, and I think we have about 10 days at home, and then we go over to Europe for the summer festivals, which I'm super pumped. Like, if anyone here ever gets a chance to go see some of the festivals, the rock festivals in Europe over the summer, like they're so rad, and there's so many of them. And there are so many like crazy different diverse bands like touring over there at the same time. So we're really pumped about that. Then we'll come home in July from that, take a couple months off, and then we're back in Europe for a big headline tour, and that'll wrap the year for us. We do have a couple festivals in the summer stateside, but yeah, with anything, like stuff's always kind of coming down the pipeline. Like we'll look out and see a couple months off, but then a festival offer will come up, and we'll fly out and do it, and so those are always a lot of fun.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed is that with there being so many bands out on the road in the summertime, what you're seeing is you're seeing a lot of bands like, announcing their tours like, like a year in advance, just to try to get that jump on ticket sales and that. And is that something that you guys take into consideration? Like, we got to do this real soon, or we got to do this way in advance, or is it something where you feel like you can still pull it off if you don't announce it like that far in advance?
I mean, there's definitely a ton of strategizing between our management and booking agent when it comes to the touring stuff. I don't think I've ever seen us announce anything a year out like that. But yeah, COVID screwed everything up though. Ever since those 2 years where pretty much nobody was touring, now it's been nonstop. And I don't know if this is still the case, but I know like at one point last year, like there were more concert tickets for sale in the United States, like in this certain window of time than there's like ever been in the history of rock concerts, by
I
like a
totally believe
bunch.
it. Yeah,
And
I believe it.
yeah. So hopefully, maybe in like 25 or 30 years, things will calm down. I don't know, but
Wow, I was hoping
we'll
maybe
see.
in a couple months it would calm down.
Yeah.
I want to talk wanted to talk about back to the record. I want to talk about Angel Song, which I think is a great song. Again, you mentioned before that David Drainman is a guest vocalist on it. Tell us a little bit more about that song and how it came about.
Yeah. That song we trying to think like what the spirit of it was. Like um initially it kind of started out as this song that we were writing about a person that goes to LA and kind of gets lost in like the music business or in Hollywood or something like that. And falls into depression or suicide or something like that. And it still is kind of like that, but it's more. We changed it though to be just kind of like a much more like general pump up song, but just kind of like a let your light shine kind of thing, like don't be conquered. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song, and I think it's one of my favorite songs that you guys have. I mean, I like the record in itself, but that song and it's I really love that song. I want to talk
Yeah,
about the.
thanks.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I want to talk about the beginning of the band. You guys formed in 2003. You joined the band in 2004. And like you said earlier, there was a bit of a time where the band struggled a bit. And then you made a crucial switch where your current vocalist Johnny was originally the drummer, and then he switched to vocals in 2000 mid 2008.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that, and how much do you think that changed the dynamics of the band? I mean, obviously it was for the better.
Yeah, oh man, it changed everything. Yeah, I joined, and I was stoked to be in the band. They'd actually asked me a couple years prior, but I was just graduating high school, and uh I moved to Nashville actually and thought I would kind of enter the music industry that way. Went to Belmont University, came back just not liking Nashville. And at one point well, anyway, sidebar. I ended up living with Mark at one point. We were both going to the college in San Antonio, and me and Johnny had played in like the youth band together because we all grew up in the same church. And I loved what they were writing. I loved their commitment to it. And yeah, so I joined. And at that point, like Johnny was graduating high school. Um, One of the other guys, the band used to be a five piece. So yeah, there were two other guys one guy was graduating high school, one guy was still in college. But we all just took the vow of poverty, dropped out of college or didn't go and started touring. And since I've been in the band, I think I was the third bass player. We went through two singers while I was uh, playing before Johnny switched to singing. And I actually tried out to be the vocalist too, and I'm very thankful I lost. But but man, it's a scary transition. Like Johnny's a phenomenal musician overall, like great drummer, very musical ear, you know, uh, just very, very good. So we trusted him, that like he could make it work. And and at first, like people are just born with amazing voices, right? And the voice they have is, the first time they sing, it's incredible, and that's what it is. Whereas Johnny had a good voice, but it wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't like so one thing I think is cool though is that because he didn't have like the best voice starting out, like he really got to spend time developing his character and like deciding what he wanted to sound like. And so when we were writing, we'd push him and it's like, dude, like you can sing freaking high. Like, and you can do all these like turns out he can do all these like crazy monster voices. And so we so yeah, very quickly learned. It was just like uh, took a lot of notes from bands like My Chemical Romance or Fair to Midland. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're a smaller Texas band, um, but yeah, like his voice could fit a lot of different emotions. It wasn't just this one tone beast thing. And it's like, okay, cool. And I mean, since then, Johnny's just an absolute vocal monster now. Like it turns on and it's crazy. But yeah, it was difficult, and he like I think it's Talladega Nights where Will Ferrell doesn't know what to do with his hands. That was Johnny singing, at first because he's used to playing drums. Now stuffed him at the front of the stage, um, and that's kind of where the double drum set thing started coming from, because he is such a good drummer. It's like, hey, let's give you something else to do just so you feel more comfortable. So we built a little like kick drum and snare thing, that he could play upright. And that was, one of the beginnings of like our double drum solo stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it took a couple years for him to really find his footing. But I mean, I've never ever thought of having a different singer once since he joined, really. So, um, but yeah.
So how did you get the attention of legendary like manager Alan Kovac? How did he get into the picture?
Yeah. So the story of us getting signed is kind of funny. Like, we're about 8 or 9 years in. We had just self-produced, we did a Kickstarter campaign, and Kickstarter funded, what is it called? Crowdfunding. Um, Crowdfunded the self-titled record, did all the artwork, um, did all the songs, recorded it ourselves. Um, and released it, to our Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma fan base, and did our thing on it for like 6 months. And our manager, who we still have now, did his best to shop it to labels, and we even drove up to New York City for like a showcase, and we just heard nothing but no. And then we actually attracted the attention somehow of Danny Wimmer. If you know, he puts on all the festivals,
Yep.
DWP. So he had us play Aftershock in Sacramento, and we were the first band on the tiniest stage on the first day. So we're literally like opening this festival. And anyway, we leaving San Antonio, we're driving in our van that I had running on vegetable oil at the time, and it's just like, at the red line, coolant temperatures at the red line the entire way across that desert. And I'm just shitting bricks. And we literally pull into the festival grounds, and the pulley on the water pump just explodes off the front of the van, and we coast into our parking spot. It was just like destiny. So we play that set, Danny watches, and I get in the car, go to Napa, get a new water pump, come back. And apparently, I think it was Air Supply was supposed to play main stage the next day at like 4 p.m. and they canceled. And Danny was like, how do y'all want to, do you want this slot? And it just created this super hype, So all the guys are doing interviews, nobody knows us. Like, we're totally unknown. And all of a sudden, like, we're getting interviewed. I was working on the van, of course, because that's what I do. But uh, yeah. And so we played that slot the next day. And I guess we did well enough. There were probably like 10,000 people there. First time to ever do anything like that. And God, festivals suck. Like, even as like now a polished, I've played probably thousands of shows, musician, like festivals still kind of suck. But as a baby band then, like that aftershock in that direct sunlight, I was not prepared for that. But I guess we did well enough to impress everyone. And we literally drove home from that festival with like 3 or 4 different deal offers in our inbox. And one of them was they were called 11-7 at that point with Alan
Yeah.
Kovac. And they had the most passion by far, and it was the only deal that wasn't a 360 deal. They wanted to send us to Europe right away. They believed in, they promised us like 3 minimum radio pushes, and yeah, and they stood by it. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, you also it ended up like a few years later, you got nominated for 3 Grammy Awards, which was pretty
Yeah.
incredible. What was that like when you heard that you were nominated for in 3 different categories?
Oh, dude, it was surreal. Like, I call it the Grammy flu. I feel like that's what I had after, because it's just like, what if we win? Like, what if we win 3? Like, what does that mean? And I mean, at the end of the day, there really is no competition with art. Like, who cares? Like, what is the best record? It's all subjective. But for a band like us, like, when you're in the underground for so long, like, there are all these people that just believe in you, like, you're this no name band just going for it. And so to get to like tell our parents and all those friends whose couches we had slept on, or who had, let us live at their house for years, or uh, you know, practice at their house for years, like to show them, to be like, hey, you like Grammy nominations. Like, I think it meant a lot more to them, and that's totally cool. So
Mhm. Yeah. Wow. I mean, and it's a really incredible story. I mean, was there any time like, before that when you were on that stretch where you're like kind of struggling, where you guys like contemplating like maybe breaking up the band?
yeah, I mean, it when I joined, I was, I don't want to give away my age, but like I was, I think, 21, and I thought, like, I'll give this till I'm 30, and I'll give it my all until I'm 30. No excuses, holding nothing back. That was the thing, like, we all held each other to, was just full commitment. We're not getting real jobs, because once you start making money, like, you can't go back to being ridiculously poor. So yeah, we stayed in that grind, and uh, we released the self-titled. I think I was 28 or 29, and like that album, to me, I'm like, what else can we do? Like, this album is 17 tracks. Like, it's has I thought had great songs, like cool transitions, great artwork. Like what else is there that would get us signed? I don't know. So yeah, that was like kind of for me. I was like, well, if this doesn't do it, then I can leave and be like, okay, whatever. Like, I definitely gave it my all. But yeah, I think we shot the video for This Is the Time, like, I don't know, like 2 weeks before my 30th birthday. So I
Wow,
slid
so
into
getting
home
close.
safe.
Wow. Do you feel that you want to continue releasing full-length records? Because it seems like, a lot of bands, are kind of getting away from that and are more concentrated on, releasing singles. Of course, you want to release a couple singles before the full length comes out, but do you think it's still really necessary to release a full length? I mean, the way you guys do it, it is because you tie it all together and it's like one, giant story. But, is the emphasis more on like, just, hey, we get a good song, let's just get it out? Or is it like, let's, write like 10 more so we could put it out on a record?
Yeah, I mean, we've had this fight with like management forever, or not fight, but just like conversation, because uh obviously, if you like, there's all these advantages to releasing, uh to having your release times sooner, right? Like, and if that means just make it EPs, then it keeps people fed. But we've always pushed back, and it's like, we hate EPs, or some of them are okay, but it's like, right, if it's a really good EP, you get to, you're jamming at song 5 and then it's over. It's like, I don't know. So no, we've always pushed back on it, and I can't say there won't come a time where we're just going to release singles, but we've always kind of been the band that just, like, it's like, okay, if we're doing album stuff, like, let's just focus on an album and let's write all the songs for it, and do that for right now, and tour way less. Let's not try to mix the two. And and also, historically, like, we've done all the production ourselves, so that's another big reason, because, like, it's just such a big, they're big projects. They're not something you kind of just play with on the side. But yeah, now that we're working with other producers, like with Carnal, that was kind of an experiment for us. We went with Drew Folk out of LA, aka Wizard Blood. Um, and it was a fantastic experience. Like, I was definitely a little bit apprehensive going in, just because it's like, surely something's going to change a little bit, because this isn't how we've done it in the past. But no, I mean, he was like a, fifth member of the band, and I felt like he pulled out things from us that, like, we've never been able to on our own. So, but what he also did was allow us to move so much faster. Because, I mean, the our operation in the past was hilarious, and I loved it. I loved how we did things. Like, it was always, we'd write, like, Spirits, for instance. Like, I rented this house in San Antonio, and one of the bedrooms, we were writing in. Johnny had a studio in one of the bedrooms above it. There's a 3-car garage um, in the back, and like, once the album was pretty much written, and everyone switched to, like, record the album mode. Mark's tracking with Ben, Johnny's working on vocals and production stuff, and I'm in the garage, like, building Scorpion Tail, or whatever's to come after Scorpion Tail. And Um, it was just, it was a super fun, like, hi ho, let's go, one team, one dream kind of thing. But like, it's very life consuming for sure when you're just taking it all on yourself. And, you know, now we don't edit our own guitar bass tracks really. Like, we just kind of, we let other people do it, which is cool because it allows you to move quickly. And when we're together in the studio, it is just a much quicker, lighter feeling, Whereas I don't know if you've ever been a part of any studio recording, but it can get very I'll think of it later.
Tedious. Yeah,
Yes, tedious.
with the momentum the band has, I mean, I mean, for me seeing it, I think that the next step would be that you guys would, go to the next level and be a arena rock band yourself. And have you given any thought about what a nothing more arena rock headlining show would look like as far as the production of it goes?
Yeah, if we could spend like $10 million on production or something like that, I'm not sure. The uh uh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably like Scorpion Tail on steroids. Like the version I built is for club. It doesn't even fit in all clubs. But it definitely fits in most. But it's like, yeah, if you're going into an arena, like how much could you turn that thing up if funds were unlimited, and like how cool could it get when you can hire like the most creative talent in the country to like help you brainstorm and put it together and like get the lights perfect and get fire on board. And yeah, it'd be something like that for sure. Like Scorpion Tail would turn into like this 3D thing and maybe open a black hole on the stage. I don't know. I think it's done that before as it is.
Yeah. Wow,
Definitely sucked our souls into it a couple times.
Scorpion Tail going up to like the 300 level. I mean, that would be like incredible. So like the people in the like upper level could like have front row seats. I mean, that would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Starts
so
levitating. I don't know.
yeah. So yeah, you better start thinking about it because I think the time's going to be here sooner than you think. I mean, like I said, you guys have a lot of momentum, great music, great live performances, a lot of energy on stage, unique, probably like one of the best modern rock bands out right now. So get ready, Daniel.
Hey, I appreciate the vote of confidence and faith, but yeah, I mean we're not stopping. We're still stoked to be doing this, and we have been at it for a decent amount of time, but we're not tired or feel like we're running out of ideas. So let's go.
Yeah, you must be like really energized, and especially going out with a band like Disturbed. And this is like the best time to go out, I think, because summer is so oversaturated. People are just like dying to get out and see a good rock show, this time of year. So, I mean, you're going to see some really like crazy, hungry crowds for great music.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is a perfect time, and unfortunately, another one of the perfect times is like dead of winter. But
Yeah.
when you're living in a vehicle in a parking lot, like it's not the most fun time to like be a human on tour. But I'm beyond pumped for this spring tour. Awesome bands, and we're also getting able, or the schedule allowed us to book uh, quite a few headline shows on the days off of this tour. So I'm
Right.
really
Yeah.
pumped about those as well.
Wow. And are those going to be like in like clubs or where are you going to be playing for the most part for those headliners?
Yeah, it'll all be clubs.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, Daniel, I appreciate your time. I just want to ask one last question before we leave. So I'd like to know, like, who are like, your top five favorite like classic rock bands of all time?
Top five. Definitely. I think one has to be Led Zeppelin. Like I've learned most of John Paul Jones' bass lines. I mean, I still listen to Zeppelin regularly. I was just hanging out with my older brother and dad in Houston, and yeah, we're playing Zeppelin songs. Family band. Uh, so yeah, they're incredible. Beatles, of course. Like who's written a greater, more diverse catalog than them? Insane. Trying to think. Obviously, Journey, like they have so many hits, like it's insane. I really like Boston, and I love Boston's story too. That was it the guitar player that was like the
Yep.
mad scientist that like completely revolutionized like the recording industry of the time. Because
Yeah,
I even
he
noticed that, like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, he recorded everything in his basement, and he told the record company that he was gonna go to the studio because they didn't want him just recording in the basement. So he said, "Okay, I'll go to the studio," and he still recorded it in his basement and turned it in, and he became this like 18 million record selling like monster that like for 50 years on, it's still like this huge release that has not one flaw in it.
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy.
Yeah,
They're so good. Even as a kid, I remember just being like, why does this band sound better than all the other classic rock bands? They
yeah.
just did. Like great, great recording quality. Um, let's see, I really like Cream. That was another band that I've learned a lot of their stuff. I mean, they're legendary. See, number five. Number five is the most difficult. Uh, I'll go with Hendrix.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
I just want to ask one more question I had on my notes I forgot to
yeah,
ask you, but it's you're a very unique bassist in that you have a five-string bass. What made you go to the a five-string bass as opposed to your traditional four-string bass?
yeah. Some older brother taught me bass. He was the one that really got me into it. And he had a five string. So I started there actually, like when I finally got my own first bass. Um, and then actually I was about to switch back to four strings. I was like, I don't know if I like this fifth string. I don't know if what does it really give you? And that was when I joined the band and everyone's like, no, you have to do a five string. Like those low notes sound so cool. Um, so yeah, so I stayed five. I love it. And different brands have. It's kind of weird. The fifth string is kind of hard to pull off. I feel like for bass manufacturers because I don't know most of them can have them sound good up to the fifth fret, but then it really starts getting woofy. But when I fell in love with Music Man basses. I don't know when. I think like 2007. We won a Warped Tour Battle of the Bands, and they gave us all like a bunch of free instruments and Guitar Center credit. And so I picked the bongo out, and yeah, after I got that bass, I was just like, "There's nothing like this. Like that low note is perfect." Like growing up, I don't know if I don't even know if classic rock bass players primarily play with fingers, but I was just always a finger style player and kind of refused to play with a pick. And the bongo, it was so clanky and gnarly, you really couldn't tell the difference between playing it with fingers and a pick. So I was like, this is perfect, for being in like a hard rock band. But yeah, so that's about it. It gives some versatility. Um, but yeah, sometimes, I don't know, that low note's got to be tight. It's got to be tuned just right, or else it can get pretty muddy.
Mm. Have you obviously gone and tried a four-string bass? It does this seem really weird like then just playing like a four-string? Do you feel like, it's just like very odd for you to do that at this point?
It is, yeah, yeah. Like the visual's weird, the neck's smaller. It's not that big of a difference. I think what's more hilarious is seeing four string players like pick up a five string bass. They're just like,
Right.
uh-uh.
Yeah.
Whereas I could still play a four string. Like I know what it is, uh,
Mhm.
but yeah, I miss it. If nothing else, like you don't play the fifth string a ton. I mean, you probably play the E and the A string the most. So the fifth string a lot of times is like a great anchor for your thumb.
Ah, I
Keeps it
gotcha.
off keeps it off that E string, so you can just go.
Right.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, Daniel, I want to thank you again for your time. Looking forward to seeing you guys when you hit Buffalo on April 4th. It's going to be a Friday. People are just so psyched for this concert. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait. I hope you guys just blow everyone away like I know you will. And I hope, like next time you come down that you're headlining the arena. So best of luck to you, man.
hey, thanks
Yeah.
so much.
You're welcome. All
Yeah,
right. We'll see you
well,
soon.
yeah, take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.